Let me let a few more people in from the waiting room. And all right, my goal this week is to take you through the economic model, the lead generation model, into the budget model. And what I would love for you to do is, if you're taking notes, please just write down the following formula, and then I'm going to ask you, what am I describing? All right. By the way, I already gave you the answer, so this is easy. All right, A plus B plus C equals D. I love math. Math makes everything predictable. There is a formula to success. And knowing your numbers makes business predictable. Matter of fact, if you're taking notes, write that down. Knowing your numbers makes business predictable. That's one of the biggest problems that real estate agents have, is they don't know what they need to do in order to get the results they want to get. And the answer to that is actually quite simple. It's a math problem. So A plus B plus C equals D, divided by E equals F, times G equals H and I. Now, what did I just give you?
My senior class algebra equation.
It's good, Alex. Wrong answer, but it's good. So what I just gave you, anybody else want to take a stab at this before I give you the answer?
The formula to success.
Okay, that's good, Ryan. It is. It's the economic model on page 129. It's what it is. So here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the economic model. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to write down that there are three guys here. I got to show you this. Hold on a second. So if you see me fumbling around, it's because my book is literally falling apart, and I'm trying to hold pages in there that are coming out. I need some duct tape. There are three key areas of your economic model. Number one, focus on the numbers you must hit. Number two, focus on appointments. And number three, focus on conversion ratios. So those are the three things that we're going to talk about today. The three main areas of the economic model are the numbers you must hit, the appointments you need in order to hit those numbers. Let me say that again, because that was wrong. The appointments you need in order to get the number of listings you need in order to earn the amount of money you want to earn. And then focus on conversion ratios. Conversion ratios is going to be a big part of this conversation, because conversion ratios will determine how high you can go. All right. So here's what Gary has to say on page 129. Think of your economic model as a formula that describes the way your business works. Sound familiar? Pretty much what I just told you a few moments ago. If you start with an outcome, it will dictate the specific actions, underline the word actions, you must take to produce it. A sound economic model should do three basic things for you. Show you where your money comes from, where your money goes, that's expenses, and how much is left over, that's net income. The problem is, let me back up. Hold on. Most people follow very unsound economic models. Now, most people don't have the benefit of this. Most people don't have the benefit of the training, coaching, systems, models, and tools that you do. Just imagine you get your real estate license. Okay, bunny trail. Just imagine you get a bunny trail warning, right? You get your real estate license and you start interviewing companies, and you decide to join a company based on whatever. And you join a company that says, all right, cool. We're going to put you through a 7-day training program. We're going to teach you contracts. We're going to teach you listing agreements. We're going to teach you addendums. We're going to teach you disclosures. And then you go get business. Now what? What does that look like? What do you do next? Well, the good news is you do have this. So here's what most people do. They are not sure where their money will come from. They are not sure which costs are critical and which ones are not. They can't be sure how much will be left at the end of the year. The problem is their economic model is based on activities with no projected outcomes attached. In other words, they have bought into the common fallacy that if they just work hard and spend money on their business, then somehow they deserve to make all the money they want. The economic model we propose is about approaching your economics and this business in a manner that works for any real estate sales business, from a one-person sales operation to a large dynamic team. Big models work for everyone and lead to big goals. So I'm a note taker and I'll help you guys take notes. Big models lead to big goals. That's something that you definitely want to write down. In fact, the model advocated here has no limits. What would a business look like with no limits? What could you possibly accomplish if your business had no limits? The three key areas of your economic model. There are three critical areas to focus in your economic model. First, you need to focus on knowing the key numbers you must hit. Understanding how the different aspects of your business interact to produce financial results is essential to making sound decisions. Then you'll have to focus on the numbers of appointments you must make, the driving number in your economic model. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to go back to taking notes, and I want you to take that math problem I gave you at the beginning of today's coaching call, A plus B plus C equals D divided by E equals F times G equals H and I. Now, let's just say, for example, F, by the way, well, let me start from the top because you guys want to know what all these letters stand for. A is net income. B is expenses. C is cost of sales. D is your gross commission income. If I'm pausing, it's because I'm checking my math, guys, to make sure I'm right. All right, A plus B, net income plus expenses plus cost of sales equals gross commission income. Divided by E, E is your average commission, equals F. F is the number of homes you need to sell. So let's just say, for example, F is 36. If F is 36, then we're going to take that times your buyer to seller ratio. Now, if it's 50-50, then F times 50% equals 18 sellers. F times 50% equals 18 buyers. Now, if H is seller side, how many sellers you need to close, we're going to take H divided by 75% to equal J, which is the number of listings that you'll need to take.
J is not formula.
I know it's not. I'm adding.
Okay.
I'm adding. Yeah, good job, by the way, Camille. Yeah, as we're adding, we're making this even more complicated. So H divided by 75% equals J. J is the number of listings that you will need to take. If you're going to close 18 and 75% of the listings you take will sell, and that's right out of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And yes, I know we're in a seller's market. And yes, I know more than 75% sell today. I'm just giving you numbers based on any market. Now, I'm going to take H divided by 75% to equal J, which is the number of listings that I will need to take. J is 24, by the way. 18 divided by 75% is 24. Now, the next step is I'm going to take J divided by 75% to equal K. K is the end of the formula, and this is where I ultimately want to get. This is the number of appointments I need to go on. K in this example would be 32. So if A is net income, I need 32 listing appointments to get A. Now, the next question is, how many leads will you need in order to get 32 appointments? A lead is a one-way conversation. How many leads will you need in order to get the number of contacts you need in order to get 32 appointments? A contact is a two-way conversation. Now, if I call for sell by owner and we have a conversation, that's a two-way conversation. If I provide my ISA with a list of 500 potential opportunities, those are one-way conversations. It's a list. How many leads do I need in order to get the number of contacts that I need, in order to get the number of appointments that I need? Now, let's just say, for example, let's assume that your contact to listing appointment ratio is 100 to 1. That means it takes 100 two-way conversations to get one listing appointment. Fair enough. Most coaching companies, Mike Ferry, for example, would tell you 100 to 1 is a good number. If you're getting 1 out of 100, you're doing pretty good. 100 two-way conversations to get an appointment. Now, it's different if you're working your business by referral and we're talking to people, your majority of your business is repeat referral business. Well, then it's going to be much less than 100 to 1. But let's just assume for a moment that I am going to run my real estate business prospecting based, and I'm going to focus on circle prospecting, for example, as my only source of business. For the purpose of today's conversation, let's just pretend for a moment that circle prospecting is going to be the only way I'm going to generate seller listings. And I'm going to have 100 conversations to get an appointment. Now, I need 32 appointments in order to close 18 seller listings and a total of 36 closed units. By the way, if my average commission check is $100,000 or $10,000, that's $360,000, right? It's important to think about that. It's important to know that, because having 100 conversations to get one appointment is going to be hard. You're going to want to give up. You're going to get discouraged. You have to be able to have a reason big enough to cause you to keep going through the pain. All right, so assuming that the number of appointments I need is 32, assuming that my contact to appointment ratio is 100 to 1, I'm going to take K times 100 to equal L. L is contacts. 32 times 100 equals 3,200 two-way conversations. 3,200 two-way conversations divided by 250. Why 250? Because we're going to work 50 weeks, 5 days a week. It's 250 days. It's 12.8 conversations per day. If I had 12.8 circle prospecting conversations every single day, it would lead to 32 seller listing appointments, 24 listings taken, 18 listings closed, a total of 36 units closed. That's the economic model in order to get to the desired result. Now, Stephen Covey in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, talks about beginning with the end in mind. So if we were to have a conversation and you were to say, my net income is blank, the very next thing that I would do is say, cool, let's have an economic, let's take a look at the economic model and to determine what the numbers are, what's the math equation to get you to blank. All right, I'm going to take a break. Talk to me. Ask me questions, guys. Raise your hand if you want. There's 57 people on the call, or just start talking.
John, it's so easy. It's not even 20 or 25 contacts. It's 13 contacts a day.
Yep,
It's crazy.
it is. It is, Michael. It is. And yet, how many of us on this call, and this call is just is a fraction of the representation of all of the agents that are a part of our company. How many of the agents on this call can honestly say they're having 13 two-way real estate conversations every single day? It's not a question that I want you to answer. Not out loud anyways. Have a conversation with yourself about that.
John, when you said 13 conversations, does that include, is that only new contacts or also including the follow-up?
Yeah, good question. That's a really good question. I count every conversation. Now, if it's a follow-up, if I've already met with you, then no, it doesn't count in that. I'm lead generating and lead follow-up every day. And those lead follow-up conversations are not included. This is with new opportunities. However, if you've hung up the phone on me and you said no to an appointment half a dozen times, and yet I keep calling because I reject rejection, because no is not a word that lives in my vocabulary. You're an expired listing and I keep calling you. It's a contact every single time until you finally change your mind and make a new decision based on new information, and we meet. Now I have a face-to-face appointment with you. Now you're in my pipeline, and every conversation after that is not lead generation, it's lead follow-up.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. Guys, talk to me. I know you've got questions.
So they stay a lead until you get an appointment?
They stay a lead until you have a two-way conversation. That's a contact. Now, it's another contact until you get an appointment. So if I were calling you and again, let's just say you're a for sale by owner, and the end result of the conversation is I don't get an appointment, but I'm not going to give up. So I'm going to call you again. It's another contact until I get an appointment, and then it's follow-up. A lead is a one-way conversation. A contact is a two-way conversation. So a lead in this example would simply be a list of for sale by owners. It would be a list of expired listings. It would be a list of all of the circle prospecting opportunities that I'm going to work on this week. A lead could also be someone who reaches out to you because of a Facebook ad that you ran and ask for more information. In other words, they send you an email. It is a one-way conversation. And so you have a conversation with them, and now it's a contact. How many contacts do I need to have in order to get the number of appointments that I need to get, in order to get the number of listings I need to get, in order to make the amount of money I want to make? Now, the next question could be, how many leads do I need in order to get the number of contacts that I need? Well, if it's 100 contacts to every appointment, what's your ratio from a lead to a contact? If it's 5 to 1, then you need 500 leads in order to get an appointment. The reason some of you aren't hitting your goals is because you're thinking too small. You're not thinking big enough. By the way, if your first thought when I said, well, it's going to take 500 leads to get an appointment, if your first thought was, holy cow, that's impossible, then immediately you've got a limiting belief that's going to stop you. And for you, it will be impossible.
John, that question that you just asked was how many leads to contact?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just used an example, by the way. Guys, don't take that to the bank. I'm not telling you it's 5 to 1. I'm telling you if. It's a question. And by the way, this is one of the reasons why you track your numbers every single day. Every single day as you're making calls, you should be tracking how many calls you make. You should have 3 columns on a sheet of paper. Calls, contacts, appointments. That's simple. Track how many calls you're making, to how many contacts you get, to how many appointments you get. Now you know how many calls you need to make in order to get a contact. And you know how many contacts you need to get in order to get an appointment. That makes business predictable. Eventually, you'll know exactly how many calls you need to make in order to get the number of listings you need to get this month, in order to sell the number of homes you need to sell this year, in order to make the amount of money that you want to make. Now it's predictable. You're not just showing up and making calls for no reason. You guys are deep in thought. I like that. All right, so for fun, you guys want to have fun? I'm going to share something with you that just absolutely blew my mind this morning. This is from Just Jones. I started reading this book on Friday. I can't put it down. Oh my gosh. If you're a note taker, write this down. What has 4 letters?
Work.
I'm not done yet. This is a riddle, guys. What has 4 letters? Occasionally has 12 letters. Always has 6 letters. But sometimes has 9. Do you need me to repeat that, or did you write it down?
I wrote it down.
You will not be able to solve. You will not be able to solve this riddle. I will. You will not be able to solve this riddle unless you write it down. You have to see it. What has 4 letters? By the way, I just gave you a real big hint. What has 4 letters? Occasionally has 12 letters. Always has 6 letters, but sometimes has 9.
Easy.
True or false? True or false?
True.
Why is it true?
Because each of those letters have that amount. I'm sorry, each of those words have that amount of letters.
Explain.
Okay, so the first word, what? W-H-A-T.
Yes.
Second one,
Keep
spell
going.
it out, has that amount of letters.
Occasionally has 12 letters. Always has 6. You got it, Alex. Always has 6 letters.
But sometimes.
Sometimes has 9 letters.
Yes. Oh,
Alex,
good.
have you read the book?
No, actually, I haven't gotten to that point yet, but knowing you and the way that you think, I figured that would probably be it.
You nailed it. Perspective is so cool, guys. I'm telling you, man, perspective makes a difference in everything we do. Perspective is the only thing that can dramatically change the outcome without changing any of the facts. Now, in the story, Jones is the main character, of course, just Jones, that makes sense. Shares this riddle with a group that meet at his 5 and dime store every morning, and they have coffee around the peace table. Read the book, guys. And Andy Andrews, the author of the book, is also a character in the book. His lesson to Andy, when he finally gets it, is take notes. Don't make the same assumptions everyone else is making. And number 3, think beyond what seems obvious. All right, guys, what'd you learn? It's 8:29. Let's wrap it up. Tomorrow, by the way, we will pick up from where we left off, and that'll take us into a conversation on the lead generation model. And then on Wednesday, we will get into the budget model, and we will end with the organization model on Thursday. All right, talk to me.
Question, John, on Andy Andrews, because I know a few people are going to go ahead and pick that book up and want to read it. That book proceeds, which book was it? Was it The Traveler's Gift or The Noticer was the first one?
Just
Yeah. If you're going to read Just Jones, thank you. Read The Noticer first.
The only reason why, because I remember he lived underneath the bridge, and that was from the first book. I mean,
Read The Noticer first.
Great book, though.
Jones is the noticer, by the way, and it's a true story. The Noticer is about Andy's life. Incredible story. Read The Noticer first, then read Just Jones. By the way, read any book Andy Andrews has written. The guy is a modern day Mark Twain. He's a modern day Og Mandino.
You also have an opportunity to see him on YouTube sometimes when he does lectures, which is also phenomenal. He's entertaining.
Oh, he's hilarious. Yeah, hilarious. Yeah. Okay, guys, give me some ahas. It is 8:31. We're overtime now. So a couple ahas, take us out. We're going to get to work.
Know your numbers, and it's your motivator.
There you go. Thank you, Carolyn.
Knowing my numbers makes my business predictable.
Yes. Isn't that amazing? Mm-hmm. Isn't it incredible to know that you don't have to stress whether or not you're going to hit your goals this month? Isn't it amazing to know that you can be assured that you're going to get to a desired result? All you have to do is follow the formula. And I'll close with this. With blind faith. Okay, time to get to work. What is work? Work is 20 conversations. Not 17, not 18, not 19. It's 20, because when you settle for 17 because it's close enough, the 18th conversation could have been $1 million listing that you didn't get because you didn't have the conversation. Focus on having care calls, not sales calls. All right, hold on. There we go. Okay, I'm back. Focus on care calls, not sale calls. Bring value to every conversation. Lead with gratitude with every conversation. Your goal every day is to get at least one appointment, one referral, or add somebody to your database every single day. Get face-to-face with someone today that's thinking about selling their home or buying a home. Doesn't matter if it's 30 days from now, 6 months from now, or a year from now, because a year from now, you're going to need listings. Once you meet with somebody, they're in your pipeline. Now you're going to follow up with them forever because you reject rejection, and no is not a word that lives in your vocabulary. No just means not yet. People will never change their mind, but what they will do is make a new decision based on new information. So your job is to follow up consistently and persistently until you provide new information that causes them to make a new decision, because you're creating emotional proximity. Cool. We're on a journey with a destination that is assured, guys. Make it a great day.
Thank you, John.
Hey, John.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, John.
Bye, John.
My pleasure.